Welcome to the Dose of Good podcast, where we celebrate good people and organizations working to make the world a better place. It can be easy to get caught up in the bad things going on in the world and forget about the good happening all around us each and every day. I'm your host, Erin, and I want to share these stories with you and give them the attention they deserve. I hope this podcast educates and inspires you and maybe even motivates you to share a dose of good in your community. Now let's get into today's episode. I'm here with Casey Baines, founder of the Casey Cares Foundation, and thank you so much for joining me.
Of course. Thanks for having us.
So I wanted to start out by having you tell me a little bit about your background, what made you want to start the Casey Cares Foundation, and what is the mission?
It's hard to believe, but I started Casey Cares almost 25 years ago. And like so many things in our lives, we don't even realize when things are starting. My background was that my family was very involved and community service was really big, volunteering. So I grew up going and volunteering, whether it was in the local food kitchen or in the hospitals. And the one day I happened to be in the hospital and just trying to bring, a little bit of joy into families' lives by playing games with the kids that were hospitalized. I heard a little boy wish he had cancer. What? Like, how does that even happen, right? And at the time, think about it. I was 20 years old and it blew my mind. But let's take it back a second. I was actually working with a little boy who wanted to meet a race car driver. And I was pretty connected in the sports arena. And I thought, oh, I can certainly make this happen. So we put together this amazing opportunity for the race car driver. He came into the hospital in his jumpsuit with the hood of his car. There's media, there's flashes, there's so much joy and excitement. And this little boy felt like he was on top of the world as he got to meet his race car hero. And in the room right next to him, that's really not a room, it's just separated by that hospital curtain. That's when I heard the little boy say, I wish I had cancer. Maybe I would get cool stuff too.
Oh no.
And that's when I became obsessed with helping all critically ill children. Because when I went out to the nurses' station and started talking to the doctors and the nurses about what I just heard, they were like, Casey, he doesn't want cancer. He wants that same experience. He wants the hope. He wants the joy back in his life because he's a child. And while his friends are out running on soccer fields, he's running around in the corridors or actually being pushed around in the hospital corridors. That's all he wants is a childhood. And that's when I started with my very first family, helping them realize that whether they have cancer or they have sickle cell or they have any other critical illness, they can still have a joyful childhood, even though they are embarking on the battle of a lifetime.
Yeah. That's a great story to hear that was the motivation for you to start this, and that poor boy that he felt that way, but luckily since then you've kind of been able to help other kids with all different illnesses and things. So, and could you tell us about the 6 main programs that you offer, such as the Family Festivities, Birthday Blast, Cammy's Jammies, Caring Connections, and Hammy's Heart and Better Together?
Yes, but I think what the real focus is that when we started Casey Cares, we started out with that one family, and then they told another group, a family, and who told another family, and before we knew it, we had 20 families. Then we had hundreds of families. To today, we have thousands of families. And you keep hearing me say families because when a child is diagnosed with a critical illness, that diagnosis is felt throughout the entire family. Mom, dad, brother, and sister. And everybody internalizes it and deals with it in a different way. So when we were forming our programs at Casey Cares, we really did so very thoughtfully. We didn't need to provide the wishes. While wishes are amazing for families and everybody should take part in them, that's a once in a lifetime gig. At Casey Cares, we get to know our families. We are there from them from the time they are diagnosed, throughout their treatment, and even after a child passes away or is in remission. That's when times are really tough. And where other organizations would say, we're so sorry for your loss, but you no longer have a sick child. We can't help you. That's not how we go about things at Casey Cares. We know that once it's your child, it's always, always your child is in your heart. And so we're there to support you. So we have all kinds of different ways that we can do that. And it's done so strategically because we actually want families to enjoy it. You can't go imagine the day when you feel like absolute crap. You've got the flu, you can't get out of bed. And somebody said to you, "Hey, Erin, let's go to Disney." You'd be like, what are you saying to me? I can't get out
Yeah.
of bed. I don't, I barely want to go and take a shower. So think about it like that. When these kids are so sick, joy to them is a movie and pizza night at home because they can't get out of bed, because they can't be in big public places exposed to all kinds of germs. But what they can do is enjoy a family night at home. And that's why we created the movie and pizza night. We also celebrate every birthday of every child in our programs because it's another year of life. And so we offer a surprise delivery wherever they are. They could be at home, they could be in their classroom, if maybe they're able to go to school, or their hospital room. We celebrate each child's birthday, and it's a total surprise because mom and dad can take joy in that too. It's all about really celebrating those little moments and lasting memories in life. Even things as simple as Hammy's Heart. Hammy's Heart was, we had a wonderful boy in our programs, Hammy, who, oh my gosh, the energy that this kid had, off the charts. Unfortunately, he lost his battle. But Hammy, because of all the treatment he was under and the medication, he always had these crazy food cravings. I mean, this guy, just his spirit lives on in the program because we'll just be out at an activity. He'll be like, "God, I really need some ribs. I really want ribs." And what do? You say, "Okay, my kid wants ribs. Let's go." I mean, if that's the only way you can bring joy to your family. But think about it, guys. When your pocketbooks have been depleted because you're paying for so many hospital visits and co-pays, and all, mom or dad have had to quit work to stay home and to support this child who is medically fragile now, things change, budgets tighten, and not everybody has that money to spoil their kid with food, which is such a simple pleasure, right? So that's what our Hammy Heart program does, is provide gift cards so families can do that and have that opportunity together as a family that so many of us take for granted.
That's great. And what is the Cammie's Jammies? Can you tell us
Another
about
great one.
that?
Okay. So like we have all of our programs, like I mentioned, were because there was a direct need. There was no desire to reinvent the wheel. We really believe heavily that there are so many great organizations out there, and that's why they're developed. So people should get involved. And whether that means getting involved by volunteering, or maybe you have a child who can partake in those activities and the services that that nonprofit's offering, take advantage of them. That's why they're there. So we encourage our families to do the wish granting organizations, take part in that, really take advantage of every opportunity because, gosh, it is an uphill battle for them. So one of our programs, Cammie's Jammies, offers new pairs of pajamas to all the kids in the hospital. But again, it's not just to the sick kid, it's to the moms, the dads, the siblings who are there. Because a lot of times these children are, they were out, they were at baseball and they tripped and they fell, which was weird because they've been tripping a lot lately or falling a lot. So mom takes them to the doctor finally. Doctor runs some tests and says, "Well, why don't you go into the hospital? They can run some more tests." And before you know it, they're sitting there unexpected. Mom's doing her grocery list, preparing the schedule for tomorrow, who's doing carpool. And the doc comes in and says, "Unfortunately, I'm sorry, but your child has leukemia and we need to admit him." Well, what? Like, no, I have carpool, I have this, I have that. No, you don't. You're getting admitted, and they have nothing. So Casey Cares provides them a comfort kit, which has all kinds of goodies in there, from a toothbrush to new pairs of pajamas, because we want them to feel a little bit more comfortable. And things like a simple thing as a notepad and a pen, because when you're first diagnosed, you have all these crazy questions and fears, and you need to jot this stuff down. The toothbrush, because you don't want to be embarrassed to talk or to ask questions to the doctor when they finally make their rounds and get to you. You don't want to be like, no, we're good. Like, no, you're not good. And so we really try to break down those barriers for our families. And that's the advantage of helping these families continuously throughout their treatment and even beyond, because we do get to know them. We get to hear from them. What do they need? What do they want? Casey Cares is there to provide it.
That's wonderful. And what volunteer opportunities are available at Casey Cares, and what's the process for becoming a volunteer?
Oh, I love it. Okay, so here's the cool thing is because we've been around now for 25 years, we have kids in our programs, yes, who used to be Casey Cares kids, now back and volunteering and interning with us, which is the most incredible thing when you hear a Casey Cares alumni talk to a family on the other end and just be like, oh no, I know, I was a Casey Cares kid. And so that's pretty remarkable. But we have so many volunteer opportunities, and we do encourage everybody to get involved. Whether you're a social person and you have a great tennis group, you may be like, hey, let's get together. Let's put together a little fun tennis tournament this summer. Everybody, donates $50 and we organize a round robin. Like that's a great fun way to get involved. There's all kinds of opportunities to get involved. We always running auctions for our various events, and they're great fundraisers. So we need help with securing auction items. We need help securing really great opportunities for our kids, whether it's your local aquarium or your zoo. Maybe you have a connection with a baseball team or a concert venue. Think about things. And again, at Casey Cares, we start at birth to age 18. So any kind of activity that a child in your life would enjoy, a Casey Cares child would really enjoy it because they don't get the access. They don't have the opportunity. And two, it's important to know that there's no financial requirement to be part of Casey Cares. So why this is so important is because you could be the wealthiest person in the world, or you could be somebody who doesn't have a lot of means. But guys, when your child is battling for their life, it's all level playing field. That's all I believe we all want is our family to be happy and healthy. And anything that is going to stand in the way of that is devastating, especially when it's something like sickle cell or cancer or needing an organ transplant or even undiagnosed kids, which is such a treacherous process on that diagnosis standpoint. So there's no financial requirement. We encourage everybody to get involved, and we help everybody and we support everybody in the same way. So there's so many ways to get involved and to volunteer. And I promise you, you will deliver so much joy to the benefit factors of Casey Cares, but the joy you will feel yourself you will just be propelled to do more and more, because I tell you, it's that feeling, I don't know, it just ignites this fire in you that you're just like, okay, how else can I help them? Because you just can't imagine what they're going through.
Yeah, that's one amazing thing I found about volunteering and through these interviews that I've done is you get just as much out of it as the person that you're helping. So that's a wonderful thing. So if people wanted to volunteer in some capacity, do they just get in touch with Casey Cares in general to do that, or how do they go about doing that?
Yeah, people can go to our website, which is super easy. It's KCCSEY cares.org. And there's information there. You can just contact us and we'll set you up. It doesn't matter where you are. We can make it easy for you. Some people like to come into the office. Some people say, hey, I like just to fit it in where I can. And we also have great opportunities for people to volunteer with us on our board of directors. We have a young professional group. There's all kinds of ways to really get involved and to be surrounded by people who have a similar mindset. I think that's really something that we're so fortunate with, is that we work with all amazing people because they are making the world a better place a priority in their life. And they're putting others first. And there's some really amazing people out there, and we couldn't do it without, the community support, that's for sure.
It's great to hear. So, excuse me, sorry. Who is eligible to apply for your services and what process would they go through to get the services available to them?
So it's interesting, the application process, like you hear about all these great programs that Casey Cares offers, whether it's a day out at your local zoo and, or maybe it's going to the aquarium where we provide parking or a baseball game where you got to have a hot dog and a Coke there, right? And the cotton candy. Casey Cares really looks to provide all of those things that you would need to really enjoy that experience. Disney on Ice, Monster Truck, all of these great experiences, a group party for all kinds of families who are suffering. They don't have to be the same illness, but we'll bring in cystic fibrosis families with kids who have leukemia, with children who have blood disorders. Like it doesn't matter. Your journey is the same. It's a difficult one of cramming a lifetime of memories into a few short years. So the application process needs to be simple for us. These families have such complicated lives. Let's make this simple. So, you guys, this will resonate with all the moms out there. Is like the first day of school, and all those flipping forms you need to fill out is like, wow. And especially if you have multiple children, you're like, oh my gosh, in the same school, you guys really need this again. Okay. So, Casey Cares is very simple. It is a one-page application, can be found on our website. So think about any child that has frequent hospitalizations in a critical way. If your child has asthma, Casey Cares isn't the fit. But if you have that critical, and I think we all know when our child is considered critical, it doesn't mean that they don't have a survival, option. A majority of our children do survive and they beat it, or they live with it for a lifetime, which is wow, science has gotten us to that point. So we encourage folks to apply, and some families are hesitant to apply because they think there's somebody out there who needs your programs more than I do. No, guys, here's the scoop. We have never denied the request of an eligible child in 25 years. To us, that's true success. And we hope with the continued support of the community, we'll never have to. So I never want anybody to think somebody else needs this more than I do. We're there for everyone. So we encourage everyone to apply. And sometimes it's great if, somebody who's watching is like, you know what? My kid's friend at school, I think they've got something going on. Fantastic. Talk to the school nurse, talk to the teacher, try to get some ideas because if something is referred by a friend, the mom may have heard of Casey Cares before, but she's just too busy. So if the email comes right to her, the application comes right to her, she may just fill it out in a couple clicks and then she's enrolled. So it is an easy process, but it does take some comfort with hearing about it and knowing that if my child applies to Casey Cares, that doesn't mean they're not going to survive. It doesn't mean that at all. Actually, the outcome rate, the positive outcomes of children enrolled in programs like Casey Cares is through the roof. So if you have a child that has any kind of needs that they could benefit from Casey Cares, I would highly encourage you to enroll because you would then be part of a supportive community who knows what it's like to go through it. Because, I know with my kids is that once my kids started to get into school, all of my friends happened to be my kids' friends' parents, right? And that you build an incredible network that way. But can you imagine if your kids stopped going to school or no longer could go to soccer practice or lacrosse practice? Your friends still try to stay in touch with you as long as they can, but all of a sudden you don't have your paths aren't crossing. You don't have these same, common interactions. So that starts to kind of lessen. And that's when you really need friends. So it's really great to have a supportive group like Casey Cares to really come in and to support and to grow those friendships as well.
Okay, well, thank you for that. That's good to know. Could you tell us about some of your fundraisers?
Woo, wow. Okay, so we talked about all the great programs, and that's what gets us out of bed every morning is knowing that we can provide these programs to these families and give the kids these opportunities. We have this one little boy, Ashton. He was born to 100% like a normal child. I hate that usage, but healthy child. And he had a stroke 6 months when he was 6 months old, and he has lived a a wonderful life because he's a part of a wonderful family, but it has been a very different life than his family thought. And Ashton, at 17, was able to throw out the first pitch to a major league baseball game. I mean, are you kidding me? Like, so cool. So Ashton was not able to get out on the field by himself, but with some help, he got out there and he had some support to help throw that ball. And his dad is standing on the sidelines with me. And he's like, I never thought my boy was gonna play ball. And look at him, he made it in the bigs. Like, that's what it's about, guys. Like, those memories, those feelings to these parents, because I do believe we're all guilty of it. We're all guilty. The minute we find out we're pregnant, or that we're going to have a child, we start dreaming, right? That's what makes parenting so wonderful, because we all know the day to day isn't always wonderful, but the dreaming is so fun. And we dream about walks in the park with their kiddos, and we dream about special birthdays and all kinds of experiences. And can you imagine that being just ripped away from you? And that's where Casey Cares steps in, is to try to provide those memories once again. But we couldn't do it without the community coming together to support all that we do. So our fundraisers are so clutch to making these memories like Ashton and his family was able to experience. Our events are so much fun because, as you know, as you hopefully have gotten the feel, is we are all about celebrating life, right? Like, we get one life, let's go and let's make the most of it. So we have fishing tournaments, we have pickleball tournaments, tennis tournaments. Of course, we have the galas, but every year it's a different theme, which makes it super fun and everybody really gets into it, whether they're dressing up with the Roaring 20s or dressing up as their favorite superhero. It is such a great time. We have golf tournaments. We have clay shooting tournaments. I mean, it is off the charts of how much fun we're able to have. But we feel like that's what we need to do, right? Life is hard. And life is really hard when you have a critically ill child. And you guys know they always say that it takes a village to raise a child. Well, it takes a very caring community to raise a critically ill child. And we are so grateful for the caring community in which we live that comes together day in and day out to support these brave children who are really battling every single day for their life. I mean, it's hard enough to be an adult and have that, but can you imagine being 4, 7, 12 years old having to deal with that and then watching your child have to do it? It's wretched. And so these events, we want to bring and inspire people and let them know how wonderful it really is to celebrate life, no matter what that might look like in our personal families.
All right. Well, I hope that some of our viewers and listeners will go to your website and check out maybe some of those opportunities they can get involved with. So, and is there anything else that we should know or you would like to share with the listeners regarding Casey Cares?
I would just encourage everybody to get involved with Casey Cares or to get involved with any of the nonprofits. Whether your thing is dogs or children or older people, get involved. And the joy that it will bring you and the benefactor at the other side will be so immense that you'll just wonder why you didn't get involved earlier. But it is truly a wonderful way to connect. And I believe it is probably what we all need to do, is to work together to make this world a better place.
I couldn't agree more. And I have two final questions that I like to ask everybody. The first being, what is the kindest thing you've ever witnessed or been a part of?
Oh gosh, the kindest thing. I see so many kindnesses every day. It's interesting to try.
And I know it's very difficult. So if you can't pick just one, maybe highlight a few of your favorites or that kind of thing.
Oh my gosh. Okay, are you ready for this amazing kindness that I can't believe I got to witness? So, as I mentioned, that we have at Casey Cares, we have these group parties where we bring families together from all walks of life, but it's in your community. We go, we play laser tag, mini golf, whatever it might be. And you can come in your wheelchair, you can come, if you're able-bodied, it doesn't matter. We make it happen. And so, of course, we have pizza afterwards. And we're sitting there, and there are these two families just chit chatting. One child had cancer, one child had cystic fibrosis, and they're chatting. As it turns out, the cancer child needed a bone marrow transplant. The father that the child has cystic fibrosis offered to see if he was a bone marrow match. And can you guys believe it? He was a match. He ended up being the donor, and that all happened. I still get goosebumps.
Oh,
That
yeah.
all happened over pizza at one of our laser tag parties. And the whole time, I'm like, is this happening? Like, this guy has so much going on with his own family. Wow.
That's an incredible story and the best example of kindness I think I've heard. So, and then the last question would just be, what nonprofit do you think we should feature next?
Ooh, I like that. Mm. I think it would be really great if there is a nonprofit. Sorry, this is more conceptual. I think it would be really great to feature a nonprofit that helps that next generation. So maybe that helps that like 18 plus age group. Casey Cares does birth to 18. And then we have a bunch of people who we refer, organizations we refer out. But that would be a really great gap to fill and to focus for people.
Okay, I'll look into that and see if maybe I can find one that covers that age group. So, all right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time and for talking with me today. I really enjoyed learning more about Casey Cares, and hopefully, it will get some more people involved with your organization and just raise awareness as well. So,
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me and learning more about Casey Cares. And it really is about those little moments and lasting memories.
definitely. Well, thank you so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks. Same to you.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. I hope that you enjoyed learning more about the Casey Cares Foundation. Please be sure to check out their website to learn more about how you can get involved. I would love it if you would leave a review on Apple Podcasts to let me know what you think of the podcast and help others to find it. You can also follow Dose of Good Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube,